morning, everyone. Good morning. That's delayed. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, much better. Welcome to 1MC, where we're going to take some time and meet some new founders this month. My name is Aaron Wiggum. I'm the managing director of New You, and I'm the organizing lead of 1 Million Cups Tulsa. And we're excited to have you here today. I want to take a quick round and introduce our leadership team. We have Mitch over here. We have Ethan Harkey. And we have Tara Payne, who will be on our way soon. And we have Sean McCroskey, who also is with Vast Ventures. He's in a meeting right now. He's unable to be with us at this moment. But that is our leadership team of 1 Million Cups Tulsa. If you would like to become one of the lead organizers, we would love to have you sit down with a session with us and kind of see what we're doing, and we'll expand our team, all right? So what is 1MC? 1MC is a way for founders to work out their thesis with a room full of entrepreneurs, all right? And so this is not a pitch, it is a presentation where you're presenting to other entrepreneurs and we work out your thesis together. The way that the format goes, we'll spend 6 to 10 minutes. They'll spend 6 to 10 minutes presenting and then about 20 minutes of Q&A. And we ask that all your feedback be constructive and not anything that is too, we don't need any Mark Cubans here or Mr. Wonderfuls in the room, right? But we look at this more as a dolphin tank than a shark tank where we're all swimming in the same direction, all right? Few housekeeping things. If you need to use the restroom, it's just down the hall here. And we also want to thank our sponsors today for everything that they've done to make this the event what it is. So we have 36 Degrees North, and we also have Topeka Coffee, who's given us our coffee this morning. We ask that you feel free to help yourself to a cup of coffee. All right, you guys ready to get into it? All right, sounds good. We have 2 wonderful companies and several wonderful founders that are going to present to us today. Mitch, we want to thank Mitch for scouting these guys out because he was on the hunt, and he said, I got 2 great ones and we got to line them up for September. And so buckle your seatbelts, we're in for a treat this morning. All right. So first we're going to have a tag team married couple who have taken the wonderful task of founding a company and a marriage together, right? And they doubled down on this thing. And so we really want to salute them in their efforts. I bring to you none other than Sin and Wendy with Evolution. Give them a hand.
Hi everyone, my name is Wendy, and it actually just be me, since in the audience right there. My name is Wendy Soundaling. I'm the co-founder of Evolution. We help travel and hospitality businesses reach their potential customers with influencer marketing. There's 2 main types of client groups for the hospitality and travel business. It's a business and leisure, with many companies adopting hybrid and permanent remote work formats. Travel and hospitality businesses are no longer getting consistent business travel bookings, and it may never recover to pre-pandemic levels. There has also been an accelerated change in the way companies reach their potential customers on their phones. So the hospitality and travel businesses are finding their traditional ways of reaching advertising their experiences are now perceived as inauthentic and boring. So are forced to explore new and authentic ways to capture their audience's attention. A show of hands, how many of you here follow somebody you don't personally know on a social media platform like LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter because you like what they have to say or recommend? That person is an influencer. Influencer content delivers 60% more engagement and is on average 6.7 times more cost-effective than ads. The influencer marketing industry has grown 39% annually from just $1.6 billion in 2016 to a projected $16.4 billion this year. It's happening in every industry, like fashion, Forever 21, automotives, like Subaru, and hospitality. The photo on the right is a collaboration that happened on our platform. So what can go wrong? So influencer marketing is very manual, especially for the hospitality industry. It can take weeks, if not months, to organize a collaboration. It's both time-consuming and expensive. Influencer data is also not transparent. 49% of the influencers were involved in fraudulent activities to inflate their follower and engagement in 2021. This is an insight from an influencer's reel that pulled from our app. On the outside, the reel got over 40,900 plays, 2,100 likes, very impressive. However, since we're able to see all the data, what we see is that the influencer only reached 450 people for that reel, meaning she purchased over 40,000 plays and 1,700 likes. Her application was denied. This is where Evolution comes in. My co-founder and CTO, Sin Dowling, has experience managing and marketing properties like the Sheraton Universal and the Four Seasons Westlake Village. He used to find influencers manually to promote his properties. I have experience doing sales and marketing in the hospitality and travel industry. I have also worked for tourism boards like Visit Seattle and Visit Nebraska as a travel influencer. This is a photo of me working on a National Geographic shoot in the Great Salt Plains right here in Oklahoma. Through both of our experiences, we find that influencer marketing, though effective, is very hard to do consistently. So we built a marketplace where businesses and quality influencers can match up on a streamlined platform. Our platform saves up to 90% of the time on each collaboration. We vet the influencers with our unique algorithm that sorts out inauthentic accounts on a 5-star rating system and pull transparent data straight from Instagram to measure each collaboration's impact. Here are some alternatives on the market, and as an influencer, I have used most of them myself, and Evolution is the only one that have all 5. We authenticate the influencer's account. We have a strict vetting system. We're an end-to-end marketing management platform, meaning we streamline all of the requests that our partners get. Niche influencer who creates travel, lifestyle, and or food content with the industry focus of travel and hospitality. We work on a subscription basis with an estimated monthly fee of $375 per business. There's currently 16.8 million travel and hospitality businesses worldwide that we can target. 55% of them uses social media marketing. 75% of the marketers currently have a dedicated budget for influencer marketing this year. And even if we just capture 1% of that, we're looking at a $314 million in ARR. Our current app launched June this year, and we currently have 169 influencers in our network nationwide who generated 1,279 Instagram posts with over 2.4 million impressions. None of our current partners have used an influencer streamlined platform before. We help the travel and hospitality businesses reach their potential customers with influencer marketing. Questions?
Right, do we have any questions for Wendy? Who would like to kick us off? All right, Mitch.
Good job, Wendy. That was really good. Out of the, I think you have 6 paying customers. What was the one thing that brought them, that crossed the line from them being interested in the product to actually converting to be a customer?
So we had a different process before. A lot of our current paid customers are actually beta customers back in the day. And they really liked our processes because we actually established our business in Los Angeles first. That's where we came from before moving to Tulsa. And a lot of our customers, they either get too many influencer requests, some get 3 to 4 influencer requests every other day, or they don't get enough influencer requests. and then they can't sort the influencers, or it's way too manual. So we actually used to not charge the businesses on a beta plan, and then when we changed our pricing structure, we were like, hey, this is how much it costs. Are you willing to stay on board with us? And they said yes. So a lot of the 6 paying customers are our beta customers. Yeah.
Hello, cool. So I'm curious, I'm not entirely clear, is it primarily a marketplace that allows people to find each other, or does it actually handle the process of flighting campaigns and plugging those in via API or something of that nature? And sorry to follow up on that, if it's the latter, why did you go with a subscription pricing model instead of a revenue share?
So it's a marketplace and it's a streamlined platform. So what we do is we go out and source the influencers and then get them into our network. So there's an application process for the influencers. And then once they get into our network, it's not a campaign-based, we're not a campaign-based platform, it's an always-on platform. So for example, if a hotel gets on our platform, it stays on with us throughout the whole year. And then the influencers, because they're travel, lifestyle, food influencers, they go on and request the experiences, and the hotels, restaurants, attractions then accept or deny the request. So it's kind of like a job board marketplace in a streamlined, like a CRM, all in one place.
So, sorry, to clarify on that, do people pay for individual jobs through there, or is it primarily the matchmaking, I suppose?
It's the matchmaking. Most of the collaborations happen on our platform right now are trade basis. And the influencers, it's a membership base, but it's a free membership. We're not charging the influencers.
When you did go from beta to paid customers, did you have anybody who fell out of the beta or who didn't want to pay? And if so, what difference did you see between the folks who did convert versus the folks who didn't? Was there any like specific concerns they brought up, or like were they not seeing ROI, anything like that?
Yeah, we did have customers fall off, and then it's mainly because of budget. Right now, a lot of the properties are still recovering from the pandemic, so they couldn't have a line in the budget for us, but that's the main issue.
Sure. And if I could follow up on that, when you communicate your value proposition, are you able to quantify like the average return on investment for this subscription, or have you done any work on those kinds of things yet? Like, how do you communicate? I guess like the synthesized version is, how do you communicate your value proposition and justify your subscription fee to your customers?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We are actually working on an earned media calculation on our platform to communicate the value proposition. Right now, what we do is we just pull the reach and impression, and then we send it to the marketing manager. And a lot of times they think it's enough, but we're trying to show a dollar amount, so it's easier for us to communicate that.
Sure. I imagine they probably have like a metric or something they're looking for impressions, and as long as it kind of like meets their wicket, then they're...
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You could probably also quantify that manual time, the manual way versus the evolution way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Liz?
I wanted to say one thing really great, pointing out the fraudulent use of social media. I mean, I don't know if I guess fraudulent's the right word, but yeah. Pointing that out, it really shows that you guys have a solution in vetting your influencers. So that's a good, strong point, I felt like, in your presentation.
Thank you.
Have you found that you had to do a lot of educating to the properties or the hotels or attractions on what it is you guys do? Because, you know, large businesses, they have like their marketing budget, and you'll hear this in our presentation, we get this a lot, oh, we're already doing that, or we already have a way that we vet it, and it's like, what's your, I guess, what's your answer to that when they come in and say, oh, yeah, we already have influencers, or we already got this worked out? How do you guys respond?
Yeah, so we do get that, and we do have to do a lot of education. But a lot of times, what we find is that it's easier for us because there's a lot of properties out there. It's easier for us to just move on to the next property who have a marketing manager who are doing this manually and see the value in our product right now, just because. How early stage we are. And then a lot of times those properties who say we're already doing that, it's either they're not doing a lot of influencer marketing or they hired a PR agency, and then what we do is we target the PR agency.
How are you guys marketing yourselves right now? Is it through paid? Is it through just manual outreach? Is it word of mouth?
Yeah, it's manual outreach most of the time. We do organic social media, so we do LinkedIn posts, we do manual outreach, word of mouth. We have some of our customers are actually through word of mouth, or if they change properties, they take us with them. And then for influencer side, we do influencer marketing. So the influencers will go out, they will tag us, and then we get applications. Yeah.
I had one more. So, sorry. The current restriction to travel, I assume that's of course intentional, but is it conceptual, or do you plan to expand outside of that?
You mean for for travel and hospitality?
Correct.
We plan to stay in the hospitality and travel industry.
Okay.
I really liked your answer where you said that that's not my customer and we move on.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That is good. Yeah. Don't waste your time. Someone that has a long ramp up period. Any other questions?
So great job, Wendy.
Thank you.
Where's Evolution in 5 years?
So we do plan on expanding internationally in 5 years. And to answer the travel and hospitality question, we don't only want to focus on the products, the experiences. We can also expand into products, but it's also just travel and hospitality products.
Okay, so to go international.
Yes.
And do you want to exit? Do you want to stay with this and ride it out? Like where do you, when you go national, we go global, to what end is I guess what I'm asking.
I see. Well, I think it all depends on. We are open to exiting depending on what opportunity comes our way.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. And have you thought about diversifying your verticals to also include other forms of products or other industries?
No.
No.
We're staying in the travel.
Only
and
travel.
hospitality.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What is your allegiance to travel? Is this a place you know?
Well, yeah. So my co-founder and husband and I are both travel hospitality industry most of our careers, and then it's something we know and something we really enjoy working in.
Okay.
It's just that we're trying to do something else within the industry.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. In the back.
You had mentioned that you were pulling a lot of your metrics in from Instagram, and that's part of the vetting process, correct? Okay. I'll be all right at this point. Oh, I got you. So, are you guys exclusive to Instagram? Or are influencers allowed to produce content on all platforms?
They're allowed to produce content on all platforms. It's just that the travel industry, travel and hospitality right now are focused on Instagram. And then we do see that it might expand to, for example, TikTok, and then we're ready to expand to various different platforms based on what our client needs.
Sure. And then do you foresee any, pushback on the creator studios that are so TikTok has the influencer marketplace on there. How do you guys navigate that down the road as you expand into those other platforms?
Yeah, so the TikTok Creator Studio has a limit of at least 100,000 followers on TikTok before somebody can get in there. And for us, we look at micro-influencers. So we work with influencers with less than 100,000, basically. And our platform streamlined the whole process. So Creator Studio is very similar to some of our competitors that doesn't have the capabilities.
Sure. And then, so I'm in the event space in like multiple cities and stuff. So similar to hospitality, but a little bit not, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything that gets you like really into particular zip codes? Is that part of the vetting process, or is it more of like a global campaign for multinational brands?
So we don't have, we don't look at particular zip codes for influencers, right? We don't have that, but what we do is that we do look at the locations of the influencers, and then we, when we vet the influencers, we can also see their follower demographics, and then just to make sure that their follower demographic, the top, however many cities, make sense for our business partners.
So you said Instagram and hospitality and travel. That makes sense because it's very visual, experiential, can create good content. But another great content platform I was thinking about is YouTube. A lot of people do like travel blogs or vlogs or something like that. And so any plans to pull in YouTube data?
Not at the moment. I feel like it's Instagram and then TikTok. That's where the trend is going. I understand YouTube is a huge platform, but it's not a collaboration that I see our partners going into. But again, if they're looking at YouTube influencers, we'll definitely go that way. Yeah.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the influencer streamlined platform. I think that summed it up really well.
Thank you.
What is your target size business?
Right now, we are still exploring different target-sized businesses. We work with individual properties. We also work with PR companies that have, a lot of properties on board. We work with hotel groups, restaurant groups. So we don't have a target audiences just yet. We are trying to reach the marketing managers or the director of sales and marketing who are looking for a solution like ours at the moment. Yeah.
Any additional questions? Guess we can ask our last question. Okay. Yeah, so we ask everybody, what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Okay, so going back to the education piece, when we reach out to a lot of our partners or potential customers, not everybody knows what influencer marketing is. So what is a good way for us to reach them and tell them about influencer marketing without being, too salesy?
Anybody want to tackle that? A stab, a suggestion, anything to help them with this?
I think audience has the same problem.
Yeah.
I mean, just from an inventory standpoint of like running ads, which is the traditional way of getting in front of more people, if you're going to do paid advertising, what I've seen in my walk is that the influencers really can reach down and look for customers, right? If you're a boutique hotel, like I want an influencer who specializes in boutique experiences, right?
Right.
You're reaching a customer that is very specifically following them for that specific piece of content, rather than paying a platform for $60 put in front of any thousand people that you think may hit, algorithmically tailoring it down and over time. So the upfront investment is probably going to get you more quicker, versus the long-term investment that when you do it together, you really zeroing in on your customer by accelerating the algorithm on the platform side, but also getting those users on the influencer side to really tailor what those traits are of your customer. That, for me, is
Okay. Thank you.
Could you repeat your question just so I'm sure I'm answering correctly?
2.
Yeah. So we reach a lot of potential customers who doesn't know many ways, right? They don't know what influencer marketing is, or they don't want to do influencer marketing, for example. How do I tell them about the benefit of the influencers without being too salesy?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And that's something that I run into a lot in an industry where I have to educate people a lot. And I think taking a genuine approach to teaching somebody about your industry with the express outcome of that they just know more versus that they come to you for the service, people can tell when you're trying to sell to them. And so really genuinely coming to them and bringing them new information that will be of value and benefit to them, and have a call to action at the end, sure, right? But like the setting up your blog posts, setting up your articles, setting up your LinkedIn posts, and all those other things such that somebody comes away edified and with something they didn't have before. I mean, I'm sure you get it, like as a marketer, right? Like that brand awareness, the awareness piece is so much more important than necessarily, like, you can't convert unless you've been in awareness and consideration for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like not trying to force the sale and just really coming from that genuine desire to educate, I think is really the most important thing, especially in an industry like yours where people are like, oh, people usually have like a few preconceived notions about how important influencer marketing is, or like if it's even useful, or if it's relevant, or if they need it, right? Just like showing those business use cases, showing that there's a lot of different ways to come at the problem. And like, I think you made a really good point about like showing that there's a lot of like fraudulent use, just showing all this like really insightful industry knowledge that you have, that really establishes you as a thought leader and an industry expert. And then like, then when they have a question, maybe they'll come to you and they won't even ask you necessarily for your service, but maybe they'll ask your opinion about XYZ thing, and that allows you to form that like a baseline relationship where then they'll pursue your services down the road.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, the great thing about doing a presentation is that it forces you to like synthesize down to those key points that make you unique and differentiate from others. And you had a slide on here, I think it was like 6.7 times more effective than running a paid ad, you know? So to follow on with what Evan said, you know, like being, like sharing knowledge and educating the customer, like having that collateral ready, whether it be your blog page or a one-pager that you send, but maintaining those relationships over time, just constantly hitting them with knowledge, you know, about their industry and their job that they have at that hotel, goes a long ways. We found that to be good. In addition to that, I was going to say that another piece of sales is you may be talking to like the marketing specialist or some lower level job title that you might have gotten a hold of. You need to provide them with enough knowledge and collateral that they can present your solution up in that organization. And so we often ask the question, like, what do you need from us to present this internally to your team and educate them up the ladder so that way you can also move up the ladder and that. So just developing all that collateral and pointing them to a web page is really helpful. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Yeah, just to add on to his point, what we've done, and this is very time consuming and I wouldn't suggest it, but when we are trying to move our collateral up the ladder, we have created specific use cases within our pitches or within our presentation that have to do with who we're talking to. So we've made it so our base pitch deck is templated, but that last page can be changed out to show that specific customer, potential customer that we're talking to with numbers relevant to them, which has helped us.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. My last thing is, as they've all mentioned, basically, from my perspective, of course, being nice and helpful, less salesy, having collateral, for example, case study, of course, is the go-to, the one-pager, which you can easily include in emails, and hopefully is easily ingestible to see at a glance, you know, what the difference is between traditional advertising versus the new marketing opportunity. And an important point, perhaps past that, ensuring you're talking to the right person, as they mentioned, but also just lowering the friction, because I'm not good at sales, but I know that there's friction with any sale, and normally there's that initial fear that when you approach someone, I've learned one-on-one, their initial response is, kind of get away from me. What do you want from me? So, for example, perhaps using your example so far, the beta customers converting likely worked somewhat analogous to free trials and things of that nature, where there's low friction, low initial risk to them. You can get them in there. Maybe a lot of companies have onboarding procedures, so they don't just say, hey, do you want to buy it? Do you want to sign up? They'll say, hey, let's schedule an onboarding call. I'll walk you through this success manager, that whole deal, which sometimes seems a little bougie, hoity-toity, whatever, but I think for the right people matters and can help provide the support that they need. Yeah, that's what I got.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff. I think one of the things, besides being just the authority, is I like to see someone who is excited about their product. That catches my attention more than anything. Someone who's excited about their business, and that opens the door for me to really engage it.
Jeff is awesome.
Let's give Wendy a hand, you all. Great job. We're going to swap out presenters. Welcome you to a cup of coffee, and we'll be back in about 3 to 5 minutes, all right?
You want this mic? Huh? Just that one seems like it's cutting out. Maybe it isn't. The ratio chance of it performing better. Should we just, you want to go sit around on the other side? Say what? Should we go sit on the other side? You can see the present. We can, I think we're just going to cover the Q&A part, really. Jazz, we expect you to build a whole business after this, okay?
That's right.
A transitional thing?
You have to connect the airtime.
Oh, right, sorry.
Oh my God, I'm sitting right in front of you. Here, I'm gonna sit
Oh,
There we go. Yep.
Oh, that's mine.
That's yours.
That's mine. You can sit.
There we go.
Boom.
It's like, oh, just
Sweet.
have you met my son?
And what's your last name, Dominic?
Montgomery.
Okay. How long been in business?
August, 2 years. Yeah. From Los Angeles originally. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get you going now so that you have plenty of time to.
Okay, yeah, because I might ramble.
Friends like the show?
Okay.
He could probably tell you when it was made,
All right, folks, we are back. We want to make sure we give our second presenter enough time to go through his thesis. And so I want to call you all back into form. We can have our seats. Feel free to drink up the rest of the coffee, though. All right? So you guys kind of see what we're about. The first presenter, wonderful job. We have another one here who comes to us by way of Los Angeles, California, but now is here. He's a Okie now. And so we welcome him. But he has a wonderful platform that he has created here, and he wants to present that to each and every one of us. So I bring to you none other than Dominic Montgomery with Audience Rent. Let's give him a hand, y'all.
Hey everyone, I'm Dominic Montgomery with Audience Rent. It isn't just me. We have a team of 5. It's myself, Jeff Roden, Evan, Travis, and Liz. We have been in business this has been conceptualized for about 2 years now. We've been hitting the ground running since February of this year. This is squeaky, so I'm gonna stand over here. So Audience Rent is basically a marketplace platform that enables brands to monetize their social media following. So people with sizable audiences. But alternatively, on the other side, it allows advertisers to access those curated audiences. And I'll walk you through what that means. So initially, Jeff and I pointed out a problem in the social media space, and we're not in the hospitality space, so this has nothing to do with hospitality, which is great. We can actually work together. So billions of dollars are being spent every year on social media through sponsored posts, as they pointed out. And a lot of these sponsored posts are only reaching a fraction of their audience, like she pointed out, and that's organically. You know, a lot of times you'll see the hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored. A lot of advertisers aren't educated on the fact that, yes, I could pay this influencer a certain amount of money to post, but when they post organically, they're only reaching 6 to 10% of their following. And on the other side, social audience owners can only boost content and create sponsored ads to make an income off of their following, right? So our solution is we make it easier for brands and influencers to tap into a whole new revenue stream, while advertisers get a chance to reach highly targeted audiences. So here's how it works. Audience Rent works in the middle. We act as the broker, the payment processor, the connector between the advertisers and the brands or influencers, okay? So the advertisers can simply browse our platform and look for audiences that they're interested in targeting, while the brands or influencers can now monetize their following. So let me just give you a real case scenario how this kind of started, okay? Jeff and I were approached by a local guy who runs a website that caters to law enforcement, and he had a huge audience that was filled with law enforcement, ex-veterans, military, private security, and his website was getting 2-3 million hits a month, which was crazy, and his social media following was around 700,000-800,000 people, and he got such good engagement, he got such good comments and shares and all this stuff, and the only way he knew how to monetize his traffic was to allow for Google ads on his site, and he was making a whopping $600 or $700 a month off of this. So we put our heads together and said, how can we help him make money off of his following? So traditionally what you would do is make a media kit about the brand, and you'd say, here's the brand, they're called Law Officer, here's the brand, and here are all the people that they can reach, and if you want to do a sponsorship with them, here's how much they charge to post your content, right? That's traditional, right? Even though it's digital, that's traditional or marketing right now. But what we did instead was we made a media kit based off of his social following. So we said, here's the social following, here are the people who are engaged, here are the type of people in this audience. And then we came up with a rubric or a formula that priced per person, or priced each person in this audience. So our formula spits out anywhere from 1 penny to 10 pennies per person in the audience. And we were able to set a price for, if you want to rent out this audience and utilize it to send your ads to, you can now do that. So we made the media kit. Cut to 2 months later, we were approached by a company, an insurance company, whose main goal was they were membership based, so you pay them each month. And in the case that, so the people who paid them were insured so that in the case that they shot someone in self-defense, this insurance company would pay for their legal fees. They didn't know where to start marketing, but we said, hey, I think we have an audience that's probably 95% filled with gun owners. So we've got law enforcement, military, private security, right? And he goes, okay, well, that'd be a great starting point, right? Because he didn't know where to start. What would happen is he would start creating ads and sending it to kind of, Facebook or Instagram's templated hobbies and interests hoping that he reaches the right person. We said we have this curated audience here that you can tackle now. You can send your ads directly to them. He said, how much does that cost? We told him the price. He said, perfect, and we had a business. So that was the inception. So it's simple, efficient, cost-effective, perfect for any business looking to get the most out of their social media presence or ad spend, right? So here's our process. Within the marketplace that we've created, it's all automated. So our system goes into someone's Meta account. It covers Facebook and Instagram, and we curate audiences. So we curate audiences based on total followers, curate audiences based on people who have clicked a call to action on these pages, a third audience filled with people who have engaged with the page in any way over the past 365 days, and then another audience based off of anyone who's clicked a post or an ad from those pages. So our system creates those audiences. It's placed onto the marketplace. The advertiser goes in and can look at all these audiences that they now have access to. Once they see an audience that they like, they click request audience. An agreement is brought up in our platform. Thirdly, the audience owner receives a request to accept that deal or decline it. And when I say deal, it's essentially this advertiser wants this audience. Here's the price I'm willing to pay for it to rent it for 30 days or 60 days. If the brand owner likes it, they can approve it. Once they approve it, our system automatically processes the payment and automatically places that audience within their Facebook Business Manager account to then start targeting. So how we differ here is there's never a need for the audience owner to post anything to their own timeline. Right? So if I have a big audience and a brand wants to work with me, they get access to my audience and can run as many ads as they want to my followers at their leisure. I don't have to do any of the work because I've already done the work to grow the audience. And then the advertiser gets all of that data on the back end, and it's up to them to make good on what audience they've rented. Does that make sense? I hope so. Market opportunity. In 2022, U.S. advertisers spent $58 billion on Meta ads. Meta's net ad revenues are still growing. iOS-related headwinds have lowered growth estimates for the upcoming year. We've seen a lot of advertisers. We've spoken to a lot where the iOS updates have really dampened their budgets this year. And that's directly affected Meta's audience offerings. What I mean by Meta's audience offerings is if you want to target a plumber or electrician, you have to go to Meta and maybe you can select, is this person, I want to target people who are interested in electricity or people who like toilets, I don't know. But over the past 2 years, I'm sure you've seen Zuckerberg in front of the Supreme Court. He's had a lot of dealings with data. And what they've been doing is stripping away a lot of those targeting aspects within the back end. So where audience rent comes in is we're kind of replacing those with curated audiences for people to target. If we were able to grab 1% of all those advertisers, the total cost, or the total, I guess, what we make would be $5 billion. But what we like to do is when we talk to the advertisers, they usually have a monthly budget that they're spending on digital, or they have a yearly budget. And we like to say, hey, why don't you pull off 30% of your budget and put that 30% towards renting curated audiences, right? So then they still have 70% of their budget to still run their ads. And if we're able to get 30% of that 1%, that cap is 1.7 billion, which is funny to say, but could work, huh? Shoot for the moon. Between February 22nd and today, here are some of the things that we've been able to accomplish. In our database, we've pulled 40 million plus records. So when I say records, I mean people in our audiences. Those records cover celebrities. We brought on Mike Rowe, Tim Kennedy, some bigger names like that. Athletes, we're heavily in the NIL space, so college athletes who can now make money off of their name, image, likeness. What Audience Rent does is it keeps them on the field and in the classrooms. They don't have to spend too much time doing video shoots, photo shoots, going to car dealerships, posing with greasy chicken sandwiches, stuff like that. This allows the advertisers to now just access their audience. Think about OU, we work with OU football's quarterback. if a lot of the car dealerships and RV dealerships in Norman and in Oklahoma City love his audience because they know, hey, these are OU fans, and they can, now target that quarterback's fans. Musicians, Andrea Pacelli, for some reason, we're talking to a lot, Motown Records, The Game, Cardi B. Those are some of the names we're working with. Political figures, automotive brands, leisure brands, not travel or hospitality, leisure, and a vast amount of social influencers, right? We've onboarded over 100 over 100 of these people. So we love that our onboarding only takes 10 minutes to get listed on the platform. There's no cost to get listed on the platform. Less than 10 minutes. In some cases, it takes 5 or 6 minutes, which is an easy ask for us when we're trying to get these sizable audiences. We have contracts in hand, so they sign a contract with us, digital contract, saying that we can list their audience. We feel like once we get them, they're going to stay with us, because there's no reason for them to ever take their audience off of the platform, because if it does, the worst case scenario is their audience doesn't rent, right? We've delivered sales collateral, and this kind of goes back to the question that you were asked. One of the things that we do is when we bring audiences on, we equip them with like a canned email that basically states, it's for if they're approached by any sponsor that they don't want to work with, or maybe the sponsor says, I want to do a photo shoot or video shoot with you at the end of July, and it conflicts with their schedule. They're now able to say, hey, I can't do that, but I have partnered with Audience Rent. Here's a way to sign up as a sponsor of mine. Audience Rent will get into contact with you on how you can still partner with me and utilize my data. Because at the end of the day, that's what the advertisers want, is to reach that data. And relationships made. This is a big educational process, so we've talked to all these people way too much. And we've brought on 30 plus advertisers. 30 plus advertisers we've educated on the software, we've consulted with, we've delivered insights, and then we have created PMP deals, what we call private marketplace deals. To explain that am I running late on time? I'm running, okay, all right. Ask me about that later. We're first to market in this space, which is great, and it's also scary. But we are in the process of getting process patent pending, which will kind of ease our worries a little bit. Our competition is basically a post like this, where Ben Simmons really didn't want to do this photo shoot. You can tell in his face, and he's holding up what we like to call a knot pocket. Ben wouldn't have to do this if his audience was on Audience Rent, and he could just send that company to us to use his audience. And last, how 1 Million Cups can help. Suggestions on how to educate the mass public, basically. We are doing marketing on our end. One way that we've gotten all of the connections that we've gotten is just the ask. When we bring on an audience owner, we say, who else do you know that could benefit from this? We also have a tiered commission structure that has helped a lot of, we'll say, you bring your audience on. If you know anyone else and they come on, we'll give you X amount of their first 10 rentals, and that kind of kicks them into gear to bring on all of their big friends too. So any ideas on how to educate the mass public on this new way of targeting would be appreciated. Thank you. Sorry.
Any questions? All right.
In the beginning, you said at some point, you talked about like clicks and different things, which sounded a lot like a website. So I'm thinking that you also have pixel data.
Yeah, so we can pull pixel data, and that's more on the consulting side of things. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, we're trying to position ourselves as the broker in between. Mm-hmm. But we can help with that. Yeah.
Okay. That just sounded a lot more specific than what I originally had in my head. Anybody else?
I saw a card. Are you guys creating and issuing bank card?
I had that in there? Yes. So we are working with a payment processing company that's out of Tulsa. And we're doing that on the NIL side of things. Reason being, we found out like 60 or 70% of these athletes don't even have bank accounts, and they're getting all this, all this money. So we thought it'd be smart to issue them audience rent debit cards, so then we could fund those cards with their audience rental money, basically.
Yeah.
And then phase 2 is that turns into an online bank account for them,
Right.
and they utilize that throughout their lives. And then, I mean, just being honest, audience rent would make money on the transactions
Oh, yeah.
too.
Good eye. Anybody else?
What's the audience sizes you're looking for when the audience size that you're looking for when you're recruiting the audience provider?
So we look for sizable audiences. We have in some case worked with smaller audience owners, but only when it's a volume play, like Jeff says. So if somebody wants to rent the whole defensive line of OSU, then we'll bring on the whole crew, right? And it doesn't matter what they have. But which is funny too, because a lot of local companies we found out have capital expenditures that they have to get rid of at the end of each year. And if their alma mater has an opportunity, has this opportunity for them to donate or rent an audience, they've been doing that as well. But we look for sizable, 250,000 plus.
250. And then, so you're using on-platform first-party data to create the audiences. They're basically the audiences that you would make an audience manager.
Nope.
Is that-
So no first-party data is ever shared. All the data is completely contained within the Meta
That's the
ecosystem.
first party.
Well, it's third party essentially. You can never extract that data.
Right. Okay. So on-platform data, so when they click, that they clicked. You don't know where they went, right? So that's what I'm saying. That particular audience. If I was on there shopping for an audience, would I be shopping for an individual's audience or a curated audience across, let's say, football fans?
Yeah. So it would be specific audience. It would be a person or a
person
brand's audience.
specifically?
Yep.
Cool.
So yeah. Let him answer. Hold on, Evan will answer.
Hey, sorry, I actually make the platform. So I have some particular answers sometimes. The tangible answer to that is that the audiences originate from pages, typically Facebook pages. Those represent conceptually a brand within the platform. And then the audiences, which can be, people who have visited the Facebook page, they can come from a pixel from pages which import into Facebook. People who visit the website, things of that nature, are audiences that we map beneath that brand, which does map to an actual Facebook page, basically. But I think to answer partly one of the other questions is that the data does belong to the audience owner, the Facebook page owner, but it stays within the Facebook ecosystem, but Facebook rules it your owned property or owned information. So Facebook doesn't own the list of users. For example, you technically do, even though it's within the Facebook ecosystem. And then there was another point there. Yes. Oh, so somewhat related to that, you do have the rights to rent it out, so on and so forth. And for reference, it is all anonymous data, so it's not like we know, who the person's name is and so forth. They're anonymous identifiers, but we know that they follow the specific page, so that we have objective information that they have an interest in, whatever that page is.
Okay, we got a question back here.
Can you guys talk a little bit about conversion rates as opposed to like traditional ads or even some of the more broad categories that Facebook will just generate for you?
Sorry, I missed the last part of that question. I'm sorry.
So, like in the sales process, you probably want to tell whoever you're prospecting to, like how your conversion rate is better
Oh,
than
yeah.
the traditional methods.
Yeah. So a lot of times we give examples, especially in like the ministry community and stuff like this, where they've been able to target their audience. Like they've worked for years to find that defined audience, and then they woke up one day and that audience was stripped out of their advertising or their campaign, right? So the numbers we give them, one, is kind of conceptual, where we say, this is, these people in this audience are your people, right? So let's start there. Secondly, we can pull audience insights, and that's basically what our cost per record is. So when we price an audience, it's based on engagement of said page, the engagement of the audience within it, post frequency of the page, and then also, what's the third? Post frequency. Oh, and then average industry CPM rates, and that gives kind of our cost. So the higher the cost, probably the better the percentage of conversion, basically.
You said that for like a given influencer, they'll make anywhere from 1 cent to 10 cents per like used follower. What are you charging? Or like basically what's the spread that you make relative to, are you charging 20 and you keep 10 cents, they get 10, or?
It's a 50-50 rev split. We consider it found money, which a lot of our brand owners or audience owners have seen that, Again, this education, this educational aspect of everything, we've had to say, this is found money basically, and our bigger audiences has said, oh, so I'm leaving money on the floor, it's money I could have made. They had no clue that something like this was available. Yep.
All right, sorry to add to that. It seems unusual, the whole concept of renting out audiences and people's information and so forth. It's not as scary as it sounds. I know some people are afraid of that, but in terms of touching on the 50-50 rev split and so forth, and also somewhat related, this being us kind of being the first to doing this in the Facebook marketplace, is unusual because audience and data is a multi-billion-dollar industry already within the advertising industry. I mean, Axiom, LiveRamp, there are giant companies out here doing this every day with web pixels and so forth. So it's a very tried and true thing, if you will, that's happening every day, every time you visit a website. Probably 90+% of ads being shown to you are targeted using the very same concept, just through the web as opposed to applied to the Facebook ecosystem. So I just wanted to touch on that for those who are unfamiliar, it might seem unusual, but it's actually an extremely common practice that we're just bringing to an additional vertical, if you will.
If you're a college football player, like on average, how much would you make with this found money?
We have some that we've, those use cases I spoke of. We have some that can make $300 per rental, and then we have some like your Caleb Williams or whatever who can make $30,000 per rental.
Can they do multiple rentals a week, or?
Yep. So each audience can be rented an infinite amount of times. So there could be, if there's honestly, we have an RV dealership who has tons of data. People who have purchased or leased RVs in the past year. Just imagine all the outdoor companies that want to use that, hunting, fishing, all those companies want.
So we've had advertisers, agencies approach us about, we've got influencers that we sponsor already. They're now coming to us saying, we want their audience. So we're starting to see the shift in actually on the education aspect of it with the agencies. A lot of agencies just post sponsored content. Now they're starting to get educated on, oh, let's get into the audience business with us.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So just real quick, earlier you had mentioned that as an advertiser, I should allocate 30% of my ad revenue to contribute to this audience collection. What do you see return on ad spend to justify the 30% request, like if you compare it to traditional campaign?
Yep. So great question. One, we have said no to a lot of advertisers where this wouldn't work for them. So it's really with those advertisers who have very sizable budgets to play with, right? They can experiment with this. Or two, like I mentioned, the ministries, people like that, they can't target based on religion or anything like that. Those advertisers, we justify it by saying this, we can find your people again. So that's pretty much how we justify it. And we've also seen, a lot of even mom and pop shops, or even up to 1 to 5 million in profit each year. If they're launching a new product or campaign or whatnot, it takes them so many months to get to the point where they find their audience. So we've told a lot of advertisers that audience rent gets you to that no quicker. Like, are these my people? Let me rent that exact audience and see. Yeah.
So are the companies taking over the accounts and posting directly on them?
Great question. No. So what's great is since audience rent sits kind of in the middle, like this, there's not ever an association between the two. The advertiser never even pays the brand. They pay through our process, through our platform, and we initiate the payment to the audience owner. So they're never posting to their own page. The advertiser is. So it's all managed within their account. So they can post, 30, 60, 100 posts a month to that audience, and it never touches that brand, which also helps with like negative PR, especially in the athletic world. If an athlete has a deal with a backpack company and then we find out months later they make that backpack with baby seals or something like that. They're never directly associated with the two, so that's helped as well.
I think it's important to say, I think that the audience shows up in your Meta advertising account, and then you can target it. That might.
Yep. Yeah. So which has helped us get the audiences that we want, because again, it's less than 10 minutes to onboard, and then there's no more work to be done on your end. A lot of times they're like, we tell them the only work you have to do is go back to making that organic content that got you that audience in the first place, because we see a lot of people, once they get into that cycle of organic post and then sponsor post, organic post, sponsor post, their engagement starts to drop and their followers kind of fall off because that person's essentially sold out, right? So in this case, since they don't have to do that sponsored content as much or as frequently, they can go back to posting what people loved, and their audience grows, and then their price point goes up within audience rent.
Get paid to be you.
That's it.
Yeah, got it. Have you considered, to your ask of the community, have you considered using the influencers themselves to educate the mass?
Yeah. So that kind of fits in with that email, that outreach email that we give them. If a sponsor comes to you and you don't really want to be the face of that product, you can still partner with them in this aspect. So we've done that. But honestly, our bigger advertisers, they've just shot over an email and said, hey, we've now partnered with Audience Rent. You should talk to those guys. That's really been it.
Well, even educating the masses around like the ability to create income. So let's say I'm an influencer, I have 500,000 followers on TikTok, 500 on Facebook, whatever. Okay, and then say, you guys got to listen. I figured this thing out. I'm getting paid X amount of dollars to be able to do this. Here's a vehicle in which that can happen, and this is money you find. Like this, I'm getting paid to be me every day of the week.
Yeah.
Like you can do this too.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, probably the next step. Yeah.
Got you.
For sure. It's a balance now because we've brought in so many people with great audiences and defined audiences that we're balancing the advertiser side now, right? Because we could have every audience in the world, and if nobody's renting them, it doesn't matter.
Well, you definitely have a right to win with the NIL piece.
Yeah.
So if you get college students to begin to champion this mode of income, who needs money more than college students, right? And so like if you can get them to champion this, not just the athletes, but also there's people on campus who are also influencers. And if they could champion it, you definitely have a right to win when it comes there.
That raises a good point. So what we try to do is work with these sports collectives. Like recently we got endorsed by Pokes with a Purpose with OSU, some other sports collectives in Gonzaga and Tennessee and Texas and OU and all this. So what's happened organically from that is we get permission to send every athlete of at the school kind of here's who we are, here's our press release, here's how you sign up type of email. And what's happened is these kids have forwarded those emails onto their agents, their all that, and then the agencies have started reaching out to us, which agencies are kind of where we win.
Yeah.
Right? If we get in with the agency, they've got 30 other clients that can benefit from this, opposed to one-off. So yes,
Nice.
using them, yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's give Dominic a hand, y'all. Good job, man. Good job. We'll be back here the third Wednesday of October with two more wonderful companies. And then in November, it will be Global Entrepreneurship Week. And so we'll be celebrating entrepreneurship all over the world. We will have a panel discussion, and a bunch of accelerators in the community will actually be presenting. And so we welcome you out to the third Wednesday of October, and then Global Entrepreneurship Week right here at 36 Degrees in November. All right? Thanks a lot. Drive safe.